talking about
Well,
the Steelers are
clearly
the
the
best team
Eagles
in
are going to be the
PA.
best.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no, no.
we
Steelers are
just
the
beat
best
up
team.
the
No, the
Raiders
Steelers are the
team.
best team
We're
in
getting to the
PA. No,
playoffs.
quit.
We're
Stop
going to
it.
make the
Stop
two
it.
seed.
Pittsburgh's the best. But Quinn, Mike Tomlin is the best coach in football by far.
Didn't you just want him fired like a week ago?
No, I didn't. What are you talking about? Anyway, well, guys, welcome to the DQ Frenzy, where we got the chills, the vibes, and the coldest it takes, especially this time of the year. If anybody lives in PA or just out east, oh, brr, shoveling snow sucks around this time of the year. But Dylan Shields is always my co-host, Quinn Schmiedel. Quinn, we're less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. 9 days, in fact. Are you in the football holiday spirit right now?
Of course, I've been listening to a different Christmas album. It's a good time of the year.
Yeah, I love listening to the same old 10 to 20 Christmas songs. Trans Siberian Orchestra is the best, and I will not be told otherwise. But anyway, basically, our episode, we'll basically get right into the game since that is the news. We also, too, have a sort of new, we've done this before, tier list segment. Instead of the same old power rankings that we do all week, we're going to do some fun tier lists of some playoff teams. And then you'll get the usual Tomlinism, wow and out predictions and all that fun jazz. But we got to go right into the game with some not so fun jazz because the obvious news is the obvious. And we got two huge injuries. First off, Micah Parsons tore his ACL in the game against the Broncos late in the third quarter and is out for the rest of the season, as well as Patrick Mahomes tearing his ACL late in the Chiefs' loss to the Chargers, and he is out for the season. Now, Mahomes, the Chiefs team was honestly on a downward slope anyways. Who knows if they win if he's still in there, but they were slim chance of making the playoffs. Now, officially, they're eliminated from the playoffs. Get that applause and sense in there. Now, didn't want it to be like that though. Feel bad for Mahomes and Parsons. Wish the best in both their recoveries, but the Chiefs are kind of down and out already. For the Packers though, I mean, this is like a huge blow. They lose a big time game against Denver, a good game in fact, and then they lose the guy they traded for, paid a lot of money for, and the pass rush you could tell was non-existent after him. So Quinn, you're a Chiefs and Packers guy. These are big losses for you. What are your thoughts on these torn ACLs?
Well, at least the Eagles won. Yeah, no, the pass rush is rough losing Micah. I mean, we were okay without him before. Obviously, he was a huge piece of the defense, and now we got rid of him, and we lost Kenny Clark in the trade to the Cowboys. Obviously, I have been seeing uh like clips of like all of a sudden, oh, the Cowboys won the Micah Parsons trade because Micah Parsons got injured, which is kind of, I feel like, kind of poor taste of like guy gets injured
That
and
was
then
Jerry
you're
that
like,
said
oh
that.
look, they win, yeah, oh yeah, it's just like, guys, it's like, come on, and like yes, he got hurt for the season, yeah, I mean, it's getting towards the end of the season. There's 3 weeks left in the playoffs, so anyway, interesting there, but definitely rough for the Packers. Definitely brings down their playoff aspirations a little bit. But Micah Parsons didn't play in the playoffs really that much anyway, so is it a big loss? I don't know. He doesn't have that much experience. And then Mahomes is rough, but I mean the Chiefs, like you said, were kind of on a downward slope. They weren't looking great for the playoffs anyway. I mean, they lost him at a really bad time. That like basically the drive that could have won the game for the Chiefs is when he went down. So that was terrible timing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of the outcome we expected a little bit. So we'll have to see if the how far the Packers go. I think it's definitely a big hit for them, but the Chiefs, it's kind of felt a little inevitable. Not inevitable, but it's not surprising.
Well, I think going along with that, it perfectly epitomized their season. Just a brutal blow after brutal blow, and this just kind of was the cherry on top of that just disastrous season was Mahomes being injured and having to put in Gardner Party Boy Minshew, and I didn't even know he was on the Chiefs. Did his best, but then threw a pretty bad pick to seal it. Chargers didn't even look like that impressive on offense at all. They just skate by, and it's tough too because it's not just that both of them tore their ACLs, it's that they tore their ACLs deep into the season. We're not sure that either of them are going to play like in the first couple weeks of the season. Like I kind of
Yeah.
doubt it that either because it's like what it could be like a 9 month to a year at recovery. Like that could take a long
Yeah.
time. And I know both of them are gonna like knowing the type of players they are, they're gonna try their best to get there as soon as they can. But there's only so much you can do. You got to stay safe, and it's just a tough blow for both teams. And I know there's like a big debate too if like losing a guy like Micah is just as big as losing a quarterback like Mahomes. I would say it is, just because of the money you gave for him, how dead that pass rush looked after his injury. The scary thing about Parsons' injury was not only that it wasn't non-contact, it was because of Bo Nix. It was because he broke his ankles and made a great move, and that injured him. And Bo felt
That
bad
is
for him. Like
crazy.
he stood on top, he stood like around him and was felt bad. It was like asking if he was okay, and that just and you could tell too, Quinn. A lot of people I saw on social media realize this when they're not like in agonizing pain, when they're not like screaming, when they're just like frustrated. It's bad. When that happened to Daniel Jones, he was slamming his helmet. I think Mahomes was a little more like in agony, maybe more agonized than what he had, but still the same injury. But Micah, again, frustrated. When it's that, it's bad. You'd almost rather have them. I mean, I never wish them any like type of screaming pain on anybody, but it's almost better if it's like that because maybe the injury isn't as significant. Like, for example, Christian Watson, that injury was rough to watch, injured his shoulder and chest, but luckily it was just a minor injury. But again, just feel like this season, there's always a crap ton of injuries, but this season seems more apparent than ever. Just the season enders. And again, that's why I get so frustrated with the NFL's front office trying to be like, oh, we like safety. We preach safety and no concussions. Hey, shut up. You're getting more season-ending injuries than ever before. So don't even go there about like, oh, you're doing great with safety. That's no, sorry. But yeah, just brutal blows to both teams. On that subject of the Chiefs being eliminated for the playoffs, Super Chiefs fan Quinn, who's got that Chiefs truck that stumbled onto that cliff.
Train.
What the heck did the Chiefs need to do to
True.
improve this season? Do you think this is going to be a rebuild? Do you think Andy Reid is in any hot water? Is this it for Travis Kelce? What do you think is going to happen, or what do you think has to happen for the Chiefs next year?
I would say, well, okay, I'll mention first, Mahomes hasn't been playing quite as well as he had a few years ago. And so this season, he kind of got back to that. And this is his best, like, statistical season in a few years. So that was great to see. The wide receivers were just kind of weird this year because then you had Rice who, like, came back, but it was out for some games, didn't really play that well. Not to mention Worthy was in, but he had some suspension, and then he was all right. But neither of their receivers played as well as they did in their respective first years. So that was a bit disappointing. Kelsey's old now. I think he's probably going to retire, right? I mean, obviously, stinks to have to retire here, but he had his chance to retire after the Super Bowl, and instead he didn't.
But no, he got to have Taylor watch games with him.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, not to mention the run game was atrocious this year. I mean, Pacheco came back, but he was bad. Hunt was like their main running back, which no offense to Hunt, but he's not who teams want as their number one running back. I mean, they could probably trade for someone this offseason or draft somebody, but anyway, so the offense was just not really firing as much. And we saw this last year too. I mean, they won a lot of close games, one score, really crazy kind of games, and so it's not surprising that this year they didn't win those or didn't have those. The defense was sometimes really good, sometimes not as much. I mean, Chris Jones is getting a little older now. That we just paid him recently, I think, like last year
Hmm.
before. But I think it's going to be a little more of an offensive revamp with getting like a good, reliable running back. Mahomes getting healthy and hopefully having the same or continue where he left off this season. And then maybe another wide receiver that's like, not that Rice and Worthy aren't like true number one receivers, but like, I don't know, maybe someone else and somebody who doesn't have problems with issues off the field. Somebody reliable. Maybe they'll get Hill back. That'd be kind of funny. Uh, but yeah, I think starts with the offense. Defense overall, I think is all right. A few pieces here and there, but they need to score points and be able to use the Mahomes magic because Mahomes is their best weapon, so they have to build around him.
Yeah, it feels like too. Matt Nagy's just not a great
Yeah,
creative
he's
play
just bad.
caller either. He's not good. It feels like the Chiefs have the Belichick Patriots syndrome where they just never drafted good. Belichick was never, especially this last few years, a great drafter. He just had number
Yeah,
12 to get away with it. Felt like Andy Reid and their GM kind of had the same thing, or for sometimes Mahomes was able to bail the bad drafting out. Not anymore. Now you actually got to get it together and draft some good pieces. Like Worthy's a decent pick, but then there were others like Clyde Edwards-Helaire that was a disaster of a pick. It just other picks that just didn't pan out. So we'll see what the Chiefs do in the future. But I'm relieved, along with 99.9% of America, that we don't have to see for the fourth year in the row the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Get some new blood in there. But another
that's fair.
question, Quinn, along with an injury, what the Chiefs have to do, what do the Packers got to do? Because this hurts.
Jalen Hurts. um, no, Packers. I mean, Jordan Love plays his best football at the end of the year. I mean, like you're saying, the Packers pass rush. I think you just need to give him time to see. I mean, at this point, well, for the rest of the season, you just gotta let it go and see what happens. I know there's been some discontent with Matt LaFleur. Overall, I think he's going to be a lot better than other head coach options at the time. I mean, I know Daboll's out there. It's someone else who's just floating outside of. He's floating here, not in my head. But I mean, just get healthy. I mean, Michael Parsons, great addition. Uh, Packers have been doing really well this year. I'm not too concerned with their future. I mean, obviously this year it's not great because of Micah, but I mean, if they could sign some veteran pass rusher, someone get him on the team, that'd be great for this postseason. But I think at this point, you just wait to see what you have, unless you can somehow bribe Aaron Donald into coming out of retirement for your team instead of the Rams or something. I don't know, but Packers definitely are in a better spot than the Chiefs right now. I think.
100%. 100%. We'll get to other players being bribed out of retirement in a little bit. But I kind of agree. There's not much you could do. I mean, it could be the running game needs to be a lot better. Jacobs has kind of had a down year. And again, the issue that's been lingering for years of not really having a true number one and Golden not really panning out at all this year as a rookie. Love played decent in that Broncos game. That one interception I believe Moss had for the Broncos was one of the craziest interceptions I've ever seen. Literally just diving and snagging it away from him. And also, there's not much you can do. And Bo Nix had his best game, I think, as a pro. No doubt about it, with those 4 touchdowns he had. Sutton finally having a breakout game. Troy Franklin had a very creative touchdown. I mean, this was the best Denver has to show. So this wasn't like a bad loss for the Packers at all. They look good. It's just Super Bowl wise, I think, took a tumble, especially because the Bears have the lead in the division again. They got to go play them Saturday night without Micah. They lose. They're all the way at the 7th seed right now. They went from number 2 to 7. they can't afford for the third year in a row to be a number 7 seed because that's just not going to fare well for them, to me.
No.
But still, like you said, much better spot than the Jets. On to our teams. Quinn, I don't get to laugh my ass off this week. You got it together after a bit of a skid, and you crushed Kenny Pickett. Oh, Lord, did he look terrible. And the Raiders, shutting them out 31-0. This felt like a get-right game for everybody. Quinn, just your quick reaction to kind of a much-needed win you guys needed.
Yeah, like you said, it's really a great turnaround point when we really needed to show, like, all right, we started kind of figuring out a little more offensive, sorting some offensive issues out last week against the Chargers, but then Hurts had arguably his worst game as a professional, and that was bad. I think that was the reason we lost was Jalen Hurts in that game, which is unfortunate. But this week, Jalen Hurts played 3 quarters. The game was like 2 hours and 6 minutes or something. But Hurts had his best EPA dropback performance of his career on Sunday. And for the second time this season, he had a near perfect QBR. And again, all in like 3 quarters, basically.
So 154.9 rating.
Yeah.
That's good.
Hurts did really well. 3 touchdowns. Could have been 4 if Goddard didn't go. Oh!
He had 2 others.
Whatever. Yeah, he did. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't very reassuring that the 2 Goddard touchdowns were like the same play with just pitching it to him. But I mean, the Chiefs showed like, hey, look, you can do it. It works pretty well. So, yeah, I mean, Barkley did better too. He had a touchdown like 78 yards. But I mean, it's nice seeing the offense like do some different stuff and like score. I mean, 31 is phenomenal to see after our like we scored 13 against the Packers and like 9 against the Lions. That might actually be the highest total this year we've scored. I don't remember. No, sorry, we beat the Giants 38-20 before. And we scored 38 or 34. Sorry, 33. So not our highest, but definitely our highest in a while this season. So it's great to see that coming back. I mean, it is the Raiders; they're bad, but you need games to kind of get refocused, and it was great. I mean, it was actually it got a little boring after a while because it's like, oh, now the Raiders had the ball. Oh, okay, back to the Eagles. The Raiders was just bad. I mean, Zach Bond got a nice interception off of Brock Bowers jumping in front of him. It was great. Great morale building. And Rich Eisen's like, I was right. You guys just had to relax. Just calm down. Everything's gonna be fine. But definitely nice to see.
Eagles, he's forever the optimist for teams. He's never a negative Nancy. But yeah, the Eagles, like when I look at the stat sheet, it's never gonna wow me like last year's team or the past few teams, but they get the job done. And that's what really matters. Like that seems to be like a classic Hurts type of stat, even when he has a good game. He doesn't throw for a lot of yards, but he'll get the touchdowns and he'll be efficient when he's at his best. And that's what Philly needs to be successful at the end of the day. This was just the perfect opponent for them to play. Just, again, like a get-right game, just a much-needed type of momentum boost. I feel like the NFC East is all but yours. I have a hard time believing Dallas is going to all of a sudden come back after what we saw from them. But
I have stats for that later. But
it just matters what you're doing in January. You do have a huge game with the Bills December 28th, which is your Super Bowl pick. So it could be a preview of that possibly.
Ooh.
But I don't think a playoff spot, unless you collapse that bad, is that in jeopardy. The Cowboys got a brutal schedule, too, compared to you guys. But on to the western side of PA, the Steelers finally blew out a team. Finally.
Wow.
It's been forever since we've seen that. Miami, I feel like that 6-7 record was just not as good. Sorry, I just had to. That meme needs
to. Get a sound from Al.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. Have you seen like the Grinch one? That's kind of like a really famous one. The 6, 7, 8, 9. Like he solved the stupid meme. If not, you should see it.
I haven't.
You viewers probably know what I'm talking about. Quinn's just not good cultured at all. Anyway, the Dolphins were just not as good as their 6-7 record. They were playing bad teams. They did beat the Bills, but besides that, I think it was like the Saints. They beat the trying to see the Jets, Saints, Commanders. It's not impressive wins. And the Steelers, again, just like the Eagles, kind of a get right past 2 games. And Rodgers was very efficient. I think that was like his highest completion rate in like 10 years, I'm pretty sure, since 2015. Wow. 125.9. Yeah, only 4 incompleted passes. They scored 4 consecutive touchdown drives. The first half, they couldn't get anything going until the sneak for a touchdown. Connor Hayward had like 4 sneaks. We have like one of the worst tush pushes I've ever seen, like a knockoff, with Aaron Rodgers just sitting there as Hayward's like fighting for his life to get the first down. But hey, it worked this week. And yeah, he was efficient. Jonnu Smith got like a toss for a touchdown. That was one of the weirder touchdowns. The one throw to Metcalf was such a, like, not a lot of people can make that throw. That flick of the wrist, Rodgers, he still has that. Like, if he throws that a second later, that's probably a pick, but only he could fit it in there to DK. And
it's Aaron Rodgers.
But similar to Philly, they're not a team with a stat sheet that's going to wow you, especially the Steelers. They are a dink and dunk team that every once in a while goes deep. But they get the job done when they need to. And, of course, people calling for Tomlin's head 2 weeks ago. Now they're happy with him. I'm going to keep saying the cautious optimism because this team feels like it's very limited on offense. And I'm not sure they could beat the best of the best. I'm not sure they could beat Detroit. And I'm not sure they could beat the teams with these flashy offenses, especially with the TJ Freak injury, which I forgot to mention about TJ Watt. Let me pull up the details, but he could not play on Sunday.
While he pulls that up, there's an interesting article claiming that Mike McDaniel claims that they could be benching Tua because he played somewhat poorly. And I presume maybe if they're trying to get rid of Tua, then they're just like, oh yeah, we can just see how our other options.
They need a clean house. They need a clean house. They're eliminated for the playoffs, so maybe they just don't want Tua to get hurt because they're about to trade him or whatever.
True,
and
yeah.
McDaniel needs to be gone too. The Dolphins were like down 28-9, and they were like taking their sweet time, not even doing no huddling. And then, like, they were calling timeouts afterwards. Like, Troy Aikman was crapping all over, being like, what are they doing? And I think that's just more proof that Mike McDaniel's gone. That win streak really didn't do anything for his future. But anyway, in the TJ Watt injury, he suffered a partially collapsed lung after undergoing a dry needling procedure following his workout at the complex. It's very similar to what Tyrod Taylor had happened to him 5 years ago when he was with the Chargers. And that's what led Herbert to getting his first start. This is insane. Every year, TJ has a freak injury, but for the medical team to have this happen to him, I hope someone was fired over this because that could potentially be like life-threatening almost. Like, that's scary. And now we're not even sure TJ's going to come back, let alone next week, the season. It's that bad. So that's a freak injury in itself. And the defense looked fine this week, but against Detroit and other better teams, that's going to hurt not having him. They're only 2-10 without TJ. So that's rough. But anyway, back to the game. It was a good game. The running game looked efficient. Your boy, or your former boy, Kenneth Gainwell, had a pretty good. He did gain well this game. Too many words. Too many game words. Anyway, yeah. Good win for the Steelers. Much needed. But Quinn, any thoughts on not just the game, but the TJ injury?
That TJ injury is crazy. Like, you can't just have him have a collapsed lung after a treatment at your own facility. Like, NFL makes how much money? Steelers and every organization makes how much money? And they have somebody who messes up and almost punctures their arguably best players' lung. That's unacceptable. That's wild. But yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are they were kind of a team that were like you said, they won games when it was against bad teams. They might have had some hope against the Steelers, seeing that Steelers are a little inconsistent. But Steelers were like, no, we're not that. We're not like that. We're good. Bad Dolphins. Then smack. Yeah. But yeah, the game clock management by the Dolphins is just atrocious. Like you said, they need to do some reorganization of their organization.
Yeah, they've needed
Yeah.
it. They needed to for years. Anyway, on
There's no Super
to
Bowl?
let's not go there yet. But like I
9 and
said
8?
on it said on my tag, I might owe Mike Tomlin an apology. Maybe we'll see how the season
Yeah.
ends. But this was again. I can't even be shocked saying this was a crazy week because every week has become a crazy week of football. But to recap the rest of the games, the Buccaneers somehow blowing a lead against Atlanta when they had them in a third 26. They somehow converted it and got the game-winning field goal. No one wants to win that division. Speaking of no one wanting to win that division, the Panthers, up 10 in the fourth quarter, lost to the Saints. I called that, but wow, you go from
Wild.
beating the Rams to this? Okay, then. Ravens keeping their playoff hopes alive, shutting down the Bengals. The Texans offense finally having a day. CJ Stroud 3 touchdowns, destroying the Cardinals. Like I mentioned, Chiefs are eliminated. The Bills that were down 21-0, down 24-7 at some point in the second half, coming all the way back to beat the Patriots and retain a chance at winning the NFC East. It'll take a lot for them to do it, but they beat them 35-31 with Allen having a great day. Despite Travion Henderson having a career day, did not matter because Josh Allen is him. The Jags, oh my goodness, destroying the Jets. Another game where it was much needed on offense. Trevor Lawrence, 5 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. In my fantasy league that I have with my dad and his friends, he has 62 fantasy points. I am not kidding. 62. Wow. The Commanders beating the Giants 29-21. Who cares? The Bears blowing out the Browns. Shador had a rough game. A great bounce back game for the Bears. The Rams beating the Lions in an epic shootout of a game. 41-34. Looked like Detroit had him on the ropes, but third quarter, Stafford and that offense just took over. Like I mentioned, Broncos retaining the 1 seed against Green Bay. Niners beating the Titans 37-24. Phillip Rivers almost beat Seattle. I don't know how. Seattle almost lost this game, but they somehow won off a game-winning field goal 18-16. And then the Vikings 9 somehow beating the Cowboys 34-26. Quinn, out of all these games, of a recap of the week, any games that stood out to you?
The Eagles game, because the Eagles won. No, just kidding. We talked about that already. Let's see. I thought the Bills Patriots was kind of crazy. But that's Travion Henderson with his phenomenal day, and then they just choked. I mean, the Bills are good. They've been the class of the AFC East for a few years now, so it's not surprising the Bills are like, no, 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 we win today. I think each team won at the other team's home game this season, so it evens out. The Falcons beating the Bucks was surprising because no one wants to win the NFC South. Along with the Panthers choking that lead was painful. Also because I chose them, and it's like Panthers. Why? Anyway, the Texans scored 40 against the Cardinals. The Texans, I guess, decided to actually have an offense. CJ Stroud decided to throw 3 touchdowns, I guess. 2 of them Nico Collins. So that looks a little more normal for the Texans. I want to say they might have a chance at the playoffs, or I think they do. How much? I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Houston 100%. It's basically them or
94 to
Indy.
98. Yeah. So, and Colts are not. The Colts have a 10 to 19% chance entering Week 16. So Texans could be a spunky play in the playoffs. I don't know anyone who's really excited to play them with their defense. So that'll be interesting to see when that comes up. Otherwise, nothing too crazy. I mean, the Commanders beat the Giants. That's been annoying for our predictions. The Phillip Rivers coming back didn't play too badly, especially for not having played in a while, only having like one practice. 18 for 27, 120 yards, one touchdown, and an interception. You prefer not to see the pick, but it's also kind of funny to see him back in the league again with his weird like sidearm throwing.
Yeah.
But I mean, 16 to 18, that's not bad. That's almost being the Seahawks in Seattle. That's Colts might have some hope. But we'll see how that goes next week and progresses. But yeah, Broncos Packers. Interesting to see the Broncos. Are they? I guess they're better than just the bad schedule or easy schedule they played. Because they beat the Packers. But otherwise, Vikings beating the Cowboys. That's funny. Cowboys have a 1% chance of making the playoffs now. They need to win the rest of their games, which they play the Chargers next week, and then they need the Eagles to lose the rest of their games. The Eagles play the Commanders, the Bills, and the Commanders. I imagine at very least the Eagles, would win in Week 18 against the Commanders. I don't know. We'd have to see, but that also means the Cowboys have to win.
So you're saying there's a chance? No.
Well, yes, I am saying there's a chance, but it means there's one game difference. One game decides the outcome. Well, not one exactly, but one loss or one win. Anyway, otherwise, I think that's pretty much all the more interesting games. Rams beat the Lions.
Yeah, definitely. Going into just detail, finally, for the Bills game, just Drake May really just wasn't much of a factor into why they scored a lot of points. Like, probably the best play he made of the day was when Henderson had a really long, amazing touchdown run and May sprinted to go block for him. But other than that, it just felt like they relied on Henderson to run the ball. I feel like, too, time of possession was pretty dominated by Allen and the Bills because they were sustaining these long drives, and that made a big difference. With these key third down conversions was key for them. James Cook, another great day with 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. And we've said it all year, it's the Allen and Cook show. When they're at their best, this team's good. Congrats all, by the way, to Josh Allen, Haley Steinfeld. They're expected, their first child. You bet Allen won the win for that. He was not going down after announcing that. He wasn't going to lose to the Patriots. How could he? What a game by him. Still, the team itself could be suspect, but they might be one of those rare teams where as long as number 17's healthy, despite their flaws, they might be good enough to get to the Super Bowl just because of that. That's how good they are. The Patriots, they're just a young team. Like, it kind of stinks it took away their number 1 seed, but I still think they're like a legit team, and I still think they shouldn't panic too much. They beat them earlier this year. The Lions-Rams game, I know there was like some controversial calls that went against the Lions, but at the end of the day, their defense struggled. Their defense was pretty bad. Their secondary couldn't keep up with Puka at all. Another injury that I forgot to mention, Quince, Devontae Adams kind of having a scary injury, kind of hobbling the sideline. I know it's week to week, but I think the age, we're starting to see that a little bit. I know they're trying to hope that he can play in Seattle, but that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for him. But when you got Puka going off the way he did Sunday, kind of picking up that slack, almost 200 yards, and then Kobe Bargason filling up the void for the touchdowns, you don't really got to worry about that. I mean, they're just loaded. Both teams are loaded with weapons. Kyren Williams, 2 touchdowns. Blake Corum, a touchdown. Stafford might be an MVP candidate. The Lions, Goff had 3 touchdowns. The running game was the worst part. Gibbs and Montgomery combined for 70 yards. That's it. That's not good. But St. Brown, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. Williams, 134, 1 touchdown. Offensive electricity. It is always fun when these two teams play. I would love to see them play again in the playoffs, but Detroit might not make it, unfortunately, which stinks because they're a good team. But after that Panthers loss, I think the Rams were just like, all right, enough of this crap. We're just going to show you one of the best, if not the best team in the league, and they proved it. And then just the Colts, like, they did all they could. Rivers did all he could. Like you said, Quinn, with just the weird way he throws the ball, kind of the flutter balls he likes to throw. It's fun to see that. They tried to give Taylor the rock, but the Seahawks knew that was coming, so he kind of struggled. But still, the fact that they were in it kind of gives you a little bit of optimism, but not much, because they got to go play the Niners at home. And then they got to play the Jags and Texans that are better than them right now. So, yeah, we're going to see if Philip Rivers has any of that juice left in him, but I severely doubt it. But, yeah, another insane week. We're starting to get some teams that are in the playoffs, and we're starting to get some teams that are eliminated. The Rams and Broncos did clinch a playoff berth, the first two teams. I think that's the longest it's taken for teams to get clinched in a good amount of years. And the ones who are eliminated, we obviously got Miami, the Raiders, the Vikings, Commanders, the Cardinals, the two New Jersey teams, of course, the Titans, the Falcons, the Saints, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh boy, it feels good to say that. It feels good. But before we get to our tier list, I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to do the fun segments a little early. And I'm going to start selfishly because I'm the owner of this podcast and the host with my Tomlinism of the week. And we just can't stop talking about the Chiefs. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Chiefs fans. I can't just stop talking about them. Because you know why? Because this Tomlinism of the week is going to go to Chris Jones for not even knowing that his team was eliminated after they lost.
And now it's time for Dylan's Tomlinism of the week.
We do not care. Are we out of the playoffs? We are. Okay.
You left it, was it already on your mind that you guys would be out of the playoffs? You came off the field?
I think the score was 13-13 or 13-10, so still have a fighting chance.
That's got to be awkward to be the guy to tell someone that they're eliminated. That kind of reminded me when Ron Rivera, back when he was the Commanders coach, I believe, was told that they're eliminated or that they could get eliminated. He's like, oh, I didn't know that. In all fairness to Chris, I didn't know either. I was kind of shocked that they were already eliminated like this early. But also, too, as a player, I'm shocked that like they weren't aware that it's a possibility that it could happen. And I feel bad for Chris, too. I think he had like a family member pass away or something happened to him earlier this year. So just tough, but still. It was just funny in a sense to just feel the awkwardness in the room, just like, oh, we're eliminated. Okay. Season's over. Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of wild. Of like, so we don't make the playoffs every year?
Yeah.
He's a veteran, so he's not. But yeah, definitely interesting. But you know what's a little more fun?
Wow and ow.
Wow.
Stokely! Wow! No!
I didn't even give you a
So,
chance to
since
say
we're
something
on
cheesy.
Nah, I wasn't going to say anything cheesy. Just wow now. We'll start with the happiness here. So we're going to start with Trevor Lawrence. Wow. He threw 5 passing touchdowns, which he and had a rushing score, only 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. Pretty impressive for T-Ball. That's what we thought he would do. It's not very often. Anyway, another quarterback on the list is Bo Nix.
Believe!
Believe, yeah, not Bo Picks this week. 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he did pretty well. He was pretty efficient, pretty close to perfect for efficiency, actually. And then finally, I'll give a bonus here. A little bonus shout out to Matthew Stafford. He passed for 368 yards and helped the Rams get their playoff berth. And then our final official contestant for Wow Now this week is Kyle Pitts. 166 yards. 3 touchdowns. 3.
Where has this been?
I don't know, man.
I've been waiting for this for
Florida.
3 years.
Yeah, 11 catches. First tight end since Shannon Sharp in 1996 with more than 150 plus yards and 3 touchdowns in 1 game. Crazy. Now that's a proper wow. Can we get another round of applause for Kyle Pitts? Yeah. What do you know? So, anyway, now unfortunately I have to get to the Owls. I would have mentioned the Jets defense, but they're just kind of continual owl this season, so they're just there. Yep. Joe Burrow is our first owl. He
Oof.
struggled in their. They scored no points against the Ravens. He threw 2 interceptions, one of which was returned 95 yards for a touchdown. And his team was officially eliminated from playoff contention. He gets back, and he gets eliminated, which is unfortunate, but there's some clip that compared him talking in this like clip to like Andrew Luck like retiring of like can he go somewhere else where he doesn't just get stuck in bad situations, or can he retire? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But I think Joe Burrow's played 6 less games than Andrew Luck has before he retired. So I don't know.
I was going to ask you real quick. I'm sorry if it's the middle of the
Uh-huh.
segment. I'm pretty sure you heard about Burrow's weird comments saying stuff like kind of cryptic, saying if I want to keep doing this, I have to have fun doing it and everything. Do you have any thoughts about that? If that signifies anything?
That's exactly what I was just talking about with the kind of like, oh yeah, we're comparing it to Andrew Luck saying like, my love for the game's gone away, kind of basically, and Burrow's like, well, if I don't like the game, I'm not gonna play. And I mean, I think he'd be in a lot better situation if he was on another team that didn't have a joke for a defense and offensive line, because the Bengals can't seem to comprehend what offensive linemen that actually are good at their position means. Even though the Chiefs just went out and basically revamped their offensive line with drafting and signing players and like fixed it pretty well. The Bengals are like, how do you do that? I didn't know we're allowed to do that. I think he'd be better off on a different team, but then he might just retire. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what actually happens. But anyway, speaking of offensive linemen, actually, the Chiefs' offensive line. Let's okay. Now they just collapsed in the game, especially towards the end, and that was a decent factor in the straight divisional titles for losing that streak. Did you guys see the picture of Mahomes getting like help down the hallway past all of the like banners in the hallway, and they talked about like the end of the dynasty kind of thing? That was interesting.
Nick Wright, what do you got to say now, buddy? Been defending this freaking team all year.
Yeah, Mahomes Mountain. Anyway, the offensive line from Niners was also pretty bad, but I have to give the last official out to the Patriots, blowing their 21-0 lead against the Bills. 5 straight touchdown drives allowed, and their loss. That's rough. You gotta play a little better than that. I mean, they've had an easy schedule. They played some good teams and won, but Bills were just a little too much for them. It is near the playoffs, though, so the Bills are getting more in their playoff form. But, you know, that's how the cookie crumbles. The Patriots
That's
are
a saying.
Young team, but it's a saying. And you know what else is a saying? It's time for the fun segment! Woo!
Well, before that, I got to give a bonus out to Mike Brown and the Cincinnati Stadium people for failing to remove snow from their seats and forcing fans to have to do it as they enter the game. That's not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. And yet, cheap-ass Mike Brown, he's one of the worst owners in football. Again, why Burrow looks depressed out there. So, yeah, the Bengals admitted that they hadn't been cleared. Again, it's not allowed. They kind of try to make an excuse like, oh, there's ice in the seats or whatever. You're a professional team. How do you not remove the seats? All of the eastern coast of the country was full of snow, and they were fine. What is your excuse? None. Ridiculous. One of the cheapest organizations in football. That is a major owl to them. You're getting one more bounce just for that. Just screw off. You deserve to get shut out doing that. Sorry. Just had to go off about that. But now, Quinn, it's time for the fun segment.
Now we have our beautiful tier list. And, so as a reminder, the Jets, Browns, Raiders, Dolphins, Bengals, Chiefs, Titans, Vikings, Cardinals, Falcons, Saints, Commanders, and Giants.
Can GTFO all eliminated?
They're gone.
Eliminated. And the rest will basically look at these teams that are on the outside looking in or pretty much in the playoffs or about to be in them. See if they're legit or not. Because we got the cold teams, we got the chill teams, so we can fit the chill vibes and cold takes. We got the Steelers syndrome, which basically is they're a fluke playoff team. And then, maybe a win or two, maybe good enough to make a decent run, but not make the Super Bowl. Quinn, let's start with the Ravens here. What do you think? They're 7-7. They're a game behind the Steelers. It's interesting. It's kind of a down year for them. What do you think?
I think definitely the cold teams, maybe the Steelers syndrome, depending, since they still could win. But, I feel like the Steelers have it down. But,
I do agree. I do agree. Their schedule's brutal because they got New England coming up.
Yeah, no, they're cold. They're cold.
Yeah, they're cold. They're a cold.
Sorry. They've got the Patriots and Packers. Rough.
Yeah, have fun. They're winnable, but yeah, still rough schedule. We got the Denver Broncos. Now this is interesting. They were one of two teams to clinch this week, and they are the 1 seed right now. But people have been saying they're kind of fluky. Maybe they'll be in and get eliminated, or like I said, the end, maybe a win or two. What do you think? You think they're legit?
For a win or two, is that in the playoffs that we're referring to?
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like I could see that going either way, depending on whom they play. But they have the winning record. But it really just depends on who they play. Like if they play the Texans, two really good defenses, I don't know who wins there. I guess I put them in chill for now because they're doing well.
Yeah, I would say so too. 11-2. This one's easy for me. You can disagree all you want, Quinn, but they're a chill team. Yeah. The Rams are 100% a chill team. That Panthers loss, I think, just fueled them more than anything, and they look like the Super Bowl favorite right now, at least in the NFC. They are fun to watch. Tampa, I'll be honest, I'm just going to do this for both them and Carolina. You could disagree. Maybe we could move one up, but I think they're both cold. Tampa, they may have some injuries, but just both teams with just bad losses to division opponents that they just shouldn't lose to. Kirk Cousins, everybody, for some reason, he hates Tampa and tortures them every time he plays them. But yeah, the NFC South, make it the AFC North look good by comparison. It's insane.
Yeah, I agree. They're both just like, guys, they're like, one of you has to win. And they're like, no, I don't want to.
Interesting. The Lions, this one's interesting. This one, the few where I really just don't know where to put them because when they could be a legit team, if their record was better, they look decent against the Rams, especially on offense, but they're on the outside looking in.
They're not beating good teams particularly. Like we said, they lose when they don't have a lead. And good teams need to be able to come back and win games even when they're behind. So I feel like I put them in cold. They're not above the Ravens, definitely. Maybe Steelers syndrome, but they're playing better. They don't play well against good teams.
Well, if that's the case, I'm going to put them at Steelers syndrome because that's kind of what the Steelers are known for, is not really playing the best against good teams. Maybe the exception being the Patriots win, But besides that, they lose to the good teams. So I'd say Steelers syndrome for them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're better than the Ravens, Bucks, and Panthers. Like, I still think they got a chance. Chicago, man, even if they win the division, I just think it's like, I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're there yet. Some of the throws Caleb was making, the one touchdown double coverage was an amazing throw. You ain't going to be able to get away with that against playoff teams, though. I'll tell you that. And I just think their playoff team, they're the definition of why I made this tier of like, yeah, they might win a playoff game or two. Super Bowl, not there yet.
No, not at all. I agree. Like, perfect tier.
And I'm going to put the Niners there too. I could maybe see them as a chill team, but their schedule's been so easy and their team is so injured. I have a feeling their division's just too stacked to where they're going to have to play a pretty tough team in the playoffs. And I just think that's going to cost them.
I'd be fine with putting them in the Steelers syndrome, not because of the Steelers syndrome itself, but just because they've been winning, but they've been playing the bad teams. Like, I don't think they're going to do I think they'd go into the playoffs and get destroyed because they're injured and it's been easy.
Let's put Steelers syndrome a little lucky.
Yeah.
They're a little lucky.
I think that's good. Definitely.
Eagles. I know you're going to put them at chill. I know you're going to put them at chill. I would put them for maybe a win or two. I don't think this is the same team from last year. I still think this team's going to get beaten by a better team. I don't think they're anywhere near chill Super Bowl ready. I just think it's like they're in the playoffs, but I just don't think they can make that run again.
I would be happy making a tier saying, like, let's see what happens for the rest of the season. I feel like we could throw in another team or two in there of like, let's see.
Let's do this.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, who are you? Yes, yeah, who are you, Philly?
We don't
know. We don't know who you are. I don't know. Are you the team that blew out the Raiders? Yeah, I agree. Green Bay, again, I think the Micah injury just makes them the definition of it. Maybe a win or two, which is stunning because like either of these teams are going to win the division. I would have put Green Bay at chill if it wasn't for the Micah injury, but I really think that Micah injury just really crushed a lot of playoff hopes. Like, it's not dead yet, but this is a tough loss.
Yeah, I felt good about them until, like you said, the Micah injury. So, I mean, part of it's almost like with the defensive line and defense, like, who are you? Are you going to be a good defense or are you going to be bad because there's no Micah? But, yeah, they have to prove themselves, I think, for the end here.
Steelers syndrome, I mean, why do you think I made this tier? Why do you think I made this tier? They're going to go 9-8, 10-7, and then lose in the wild card game. The difference is it'll be at home this year.
I'm above the Niners.
Really? Above 10-4 team? All right. Shoot yourself, I guess.
The Niners are like, I mean, you can look at where all the Niners wins are. Look in the GTFO column. Oh, yep. Well, that looks about right. Anyway.
That's true.
Plus
Buffalo?
It is the Steelers column. So, like, you know. Anyway.
Fair. The Bills, despite them having, like, not as great of a record as the Rams and Broncos, I have them as a chill team. Just because as long as Allen's healthy and Cook's healthy, they find ways to win games. It's worked, besides in the playoffs, but now their greatest foe's out. So the door's open. So I think the Bills are a chill team.
I'm between chill team and who are you? Because they were struggling earlier in the season. Like, they had some really predictable game calling. And then, like, they lost to the Texans and the Bucks. They beat the Bucks. They lost to the Dolphins, though, 30-13. They've had some questionable games, but then they beat the Chiefs. So, yeah, I'm fine with either chill or who are you. But they've been playing better, so.
Seattle, I think I'm going to put them at who are you. Because
I agree. Yeah.
You almost lost to Indy. Like, they looked legit, and then Darnold looked exposed against the Rams, and then the offense couldn't do anything against the Colts. Their kicker had all their points. who are you, Seattle? I guess we'll see Thursday, but I like the Rams a lot in that matchup, and who are you? Like, they're still a good. Who are you doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like, their record's great, but we don't know what this team is. Now I'm putting them above Philly too, because their record's better than yours. Yeah, take that. Patriots, despite the loss, I still think they're a chill team. I know they blew that lead, but you're going to have losses like that. They're nowhere near the perfect team. They have flaws, but they still lead the AFC East. I still think they got a good chance to win it with their schedule. And they've exceeded expectations. And I think in the playoffs, they're a dangerous team.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice. Texans, oh, man.
Who are you?
I was going to think who are you? But I was thinking maybe a playoff win or two because of their defense.
I feel like their defense just started, their defense has been good all season, I think, but now their offense is like, oh, yeah, I guess we can play football. And so I like the who are you in the sense of, like, oh, great, so now you're good? Like, you were just, like, atrocious at the beginning of the year. Like, what?
That's true. That's very true. I can see that. We'll keep them at who are you. But they have been white hot. You got to admit that. The Cowboys, I mean, they are the definition of pretty much
1% chance.
Yeah, I mean, they're all but gone. They literally need Philly to collapse, and that's not happening. But still, good try. At least you beat the Chiefs for us. The Chargers, oh man, I think it's a win or two. I think it's a win or two because I just think there's too many injuries for them to make a run. I hate saying that because, it's there. The talent's there. It's one of Herbert's best years. But I just don't think they're above these four teams yet.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, they're good, but then they're bad. And then, can they do it? And, yes, they can, but can they?
That's why there's an ad there at the beginning. And maybe a win. The Colts, again, the definition of a cold team. Yep. They've lost 5 in a row. They're relying on a 44-year-old to get them in the playoffs. It's all but hope is lost. But unlike the Cowboys, I'm kind of rooting for them somehow to pull a miracle out of their ass. But I just don't think it's likely. The Jags, I think they are the definition of who are you.
Now, what are you?
They are the definition of it because it took them this long for this offense to look this legit these past few weeks against Indy and the Jets. But they got to play Denver next week. That's their test right there. Who are you, Jags? Because you've looked exposed pretty badly. The Rams exposed you earlier this year. The Texans, I believe they didn't sweep them, but the last time they played, they came back to beat them. I just don't know what to think of this team. I think this team is the most unpredictable team in the NFL. And that's saying something because a lot of teams are unpredictable, but I think the Jags are definitely the most.
Yeah, I agree. They're confusing.
Yeah, but looking at this list, seems pretty fair. There could maybe be some teams that become contenders, maybe Green Bay or Chicago. Like the Micah Parsons injury doesn't look as bad in terms of how the team looks. Or the Bears. I could see moving one of them up here after their game Saturday. But everybody else seems about right. But I think that just proves the league's wide open this year. And I think there's legitimate chances for everybody because the evil empire is gone, but the old one has returned. So you lose one, you get one. So
one get one.
Exactly. But time to break it down. You stink. Absolutely terrible, man. You're so stupid, it hurts.
Yes, so if my calculations are correct, I went 10-6. You and I disagreed on 3 games, and you got all of them right. So you would be 13-3.
Oh my gosh, I did not know I was that good. Okay, then. Woo! Awesome. I'm better than you. Anyway, Thursday Night Football. We got a good one. Rams at the Seahawks could potentially be for the 1 seed. But like I said on the tier list, the Rams just look much better. They look like a much better team. They look like a much better offense. They look more complete than Seattle. I trust Stafford a million times over Darnold, even though it's on the road. Give me the Rams.
Almost like the Rams. I did think about the Seahawks, but after last week and considering we don't know who they are, I'm taking the Rams, who I know more about.
Exactly. We got some Saturday games for some reason. Always at this time of year. And it's your Eagles
Yay.
at 5 o'clock on a Saturday night are at the Commanders. Quinn, is your team gonna collapse?
This is I'm gonna predict 2 games in 1 here. The Eagles are winning the NFC East, which means either the Eagles win or the Cowboys lose. It's gonna be both. If the Eagles win, I think we're gonna beat the Commanders. It is in Washington, so who knows? Maybe they'll be like, hey, magic. But yeah, I'm gonna trust the Eagles here. I'm gonna build off the momentum and spank the Commanders.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Philly too. The Commanders are down just so badly right now. I know they beat the Giants, but come on, this is a good team they're playing. They ain't winning this, right? No. All right, Packers at the Bears. Whew. This will be good. Green Bay beat them a couple weeks ago. Quinn, who's winning the second one?
This is tough because on one hand, it is in Chicago, and now we're gonna see how the Packers' defense looks without Micah Parsons. So I mean, on one hand, I feel like it's a coin flip. Honestly, I mean, I think the Packers are the better team overall, though, so I'm gonna choose the Packers.
I just think that Micah injury is just such a
It's
factor in
rough.
that defense. It's rough. It's going to be close again, and maybe Green Bay on paper is the better team, has the better quarterback, but it's in Chicago, and I just think with how good both teams are, I'd be surprised if they didn't split. It's kind of like an Eagles-Cowboys thing where they split every year. So I'm going to say they split, and I'm going to say the Bears get this win at home in a close game, and I think they're probably going to take the NFC North. It's not guaranteed even with this win, but Bears look more likely to do it. Chargers at the Cowboys, you pretty much already said the Cowboys are just going to lose, so it doesn't even matter. Division's all yours. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say the Chargers win. Just despite all the injuries, it could be closer than people think because, again, with Dak still healthy, you can't count them out, but they're basically all but down and out, and the Chargers are competing for the division, honestly. Like, they're still in it with Denver, so I'm going to say the Chargers get this win. Vikings at the Giants. Quinn predicted. I could care less about this game.
Vikings. I mean, both are eliminated from the playoffs, so, like, do they really care? No. But yeah, I think Vikings have been better.
I've been picking the Giants way too much this season for upsets that just don't happen. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to pick the Vikings and be rational. Bengals at the Dolphins again. Like, a lot of these games start to not matter. Like, it's the Tank Bowl. It's elimination games. I'm going to go with Miami just because... Or actually, you know what? Scratch record. Forget I said that. If they're benching Tua, Cincy's taking this. Especially if Burrow's still on the field, at least wanting to finish the season out. I feel like Cincy's going to get the win. Without Tua, I don't even know who their backup is. It looks like they're just completely shutting down the season. So I'm going to go with Cincy.
Yeah, I'm also going to Bengals just because Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Yeah.
That's
we got the Bucks at the Panthers, who are playing each other this week and then 2 weeks from now. This game is pretty much, both of these are for the division. Quinn, this might be the biggest coin flip this week. Who do you got for this one? Who's taking the lead in this dreadful division?
I wanted to choose the Panthers, but I'm going to say the Buccaneers. I think they're just overall a little better, a little more consistent this year. It is in Carolina, but give me the Buccaneers. Mike Evans is back. He's back.
I'm gonna agree with you, not by much, but yeah, Bryce Young's not as consistent as Baker has been. It's just, again, the defense just struggled big time. Seems like they've had a bad slump in the middle of the season. Seems like Todd Bowles always loves to have a middle of the season slump. Again, like, I see why Tampa fans want his head cut off. While Carolina, it's been kind of an overachieving season for how bad they've been the past, 3 years to now. So honestly, you can't complain too much, but I just think Tampa's more talented. So I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Bucks to win. Jets hit the Saints. Oh, this game is horrible. Oh, can we cancel this game, please?
That'd be cool, actually.
Give me the Saints. Jets looked horrible on defense. At least Tyler Shuck could be something. I don't know.
Yeah. The Saints are a little bit better than the Jags. I mean, the Saints won last week. Saints.
Sure.
Saints.
Bills at the Browns. I feel like every time someone plays the Browns like a really good team, just because the Packers lost them earlier, people are like, ooh, well, it could be upset brewing. Like, no, I'm sorry. Not after what I saw last week. Give me the Bills.
But you have underestimated the Browns' new number 1 quarterback, Shedeur Sanders.
Shut up.
He's going to put on his big boy pants, go out there. Myles Garrett's going to have 15 sacks, destroy the record, and stomp the Bills to another win. Yeah, the Bills are going to win.
I'm looking up how many Myles Garrett needs for the record. He has 21 and a half sacks. So he needs 2 more to break the record. We'll see if that happens. I'm not salty at all because TJ could have had that. He was close. Anyway, Chiefs at the Titans. I can't believe I'm saying this, but a Chiefs game where it's like, who cares? Gardner Minshew against the Titans. Even though Minshew's starting, I got to go with the Chiefs. Because at least they have some semblance of talent. While Tennessee, just no.
I thought you were going to steal my upset pick. Because you said, I never believed I was going to say this. I'm going to take the Titans. The Chiefs have been struggling this season already a bit. Now that Gardner Minshew's in, I mean, the Titans at least have their quarterback. I mean, Cam Ward's played well. They've won some games, not a lot. But I think the Chiefs are going to be a bit defeated. They just lost the playoffs. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to be like, why we play a game if we're not in playoffs? Like, this doesn't make sense. The Titans are going to be like, we live for these games that don't matter. And they're going to win. It might be a bad pick, but might be a great pick.
Finally, you're going with the upset route. I'll take it. Make it interesting. Speaking of interesting, this one is Jags at the Broncos. This is big. This could be like, if the Jags want to have any shot of a 1 seed, somehow, some way, they got to win this game. But I don't think they're going to. Denver, I think, is just far more the talented team than the Jags. While I do think it could come down to the wire, I just think, especially Denver's defense, I trust. They're one of the best in the league. The Jags, they're not going to be putting up the points they did last week against this defense. Give me Denver.
Emotionally, I kind of want to pick the Jags here. But I've been picking against the Broncos enough to know that I probably shouldn't pick against the Broncos here.
Believe.
Believe. The Jags are just, they had a great performance last week. It's going to be hard to follow that up. So I think the Broncos are a little more steady, consistent, and it's still in Denver. They're in Denver this past week. The Packers game, they don't have to go nowhere. So give me the Broncos.
Falcons at the Cardinals. Again, who cares? I'll go with Atlanta. I'll go with Atlanta, though. They at least got some. They got talent because they got Kyle Pitts, who apparently is the best tight end in the history of the universe. And Arizona, they're no longer losing in close games. Now they're just getting crushed. So, and Atlanta won last week, so I'm going with the Falcons.
Yeah, I don't know if I should go with the Falcons, but I am. I mean, they won last week. I think they're a bit better than the Cardinals, who, like you said, they're just bad.
Raiders at the Texans. Move on. I shouldn't even have said that team. They're so bad. They're not even deserved to be named. The Texans. Move on.
An eliminated team versus the Texans. I think I'm going to take the Texans.
Great. Steelers at the Lions. This game is huge for both teams.
Huge.
Especially Detroit, who are basically fighting for their lives and pretty much have to win throughout to even have a chance. If the Steelers win, their season's pretty much all but over. So, Quinn, I'm going to start with you. Who do you got for this?
What color is this pen?
Not a good one.
Blue. The team who will win this game. Their main color. Blue. Exactly. I'm taking the Lions here. The Steelers, if I had known anything that I learned from this guy, is don't trust the Steelers. And, yeah, I'm going to trust the Lions a little more. This feels like the game that the Lions would be like, yes, we're going to win this, and be like, look, we beat the Steelers. We're good. We're going to be like, well, and then we'll continue on. But, yeah.
I mean, like I said, they need this. The Steelers, I mean, they need it too, but I don't think they need it as bad because of how they've. Because I think the Steelers can lose their next couple games and it doesn't matter. Because I think the Ravens game is pretty much for the playoff spot, no matter what happens between either team. This is bigger for Detroit, and I just think they're the far more talented team. I find it hard to believe, especially without TJ, they're going to keep up with this offense. I think the rushing game is going to bounce back from their struggles last week. I think they're not going to be as one-dimensional. And I think the Lions defense is going to create havoc. I think it'll be close, but I just can't trust old Rodgers and this offense against this Lions team that are fighting for their lives, and Dan Campbell and his massive grapefruits and such that are going to go for it 5 times a game. I'm going to go Detroit to take this. I think they'll win, sadly. But who knows? Every time I pick against the Steelers, they win. So what does anything mean? Patriots-Ravens has been flexed to Sunday Night Football. I think the Bengals-Dolphins was supposed to be that. Thank God they took that off.
Wow,
at least this
a good
game's
choice.
interesting. I can weirdly see the Ravens pulling a win out of their ass. I could weirdly see the upset happening and the Patriots kind of downward sloping it. But I just still got to go with the Patriots. I think it's going to be uncomfortably close, but this Ravens team's just too inconsistent for me to think they could beat a legit team because they really haven't this year. So I'm going to say the Patriots bounce back in a close game and beat the Ravens. Please do it. As a Steelers fan, please win this game.
I weirdly cannot see the Ravens winning, and that's why I'm going with the Patriots. The Ravens, this season, like Dylan said, they're trash. And that's what they are. And so they're going to lose to the old evil empire who are angry they just lost and looking for somebody to beat it into a pulp. And the Ravens are standing there like...
Bean to a pulp. Who are you, Ray Lewis? Anyway, 49ers at the Colts. I just got canceled for that sake. 49ers at the Phillip Rivers Colts. Quinn, who do you got?
Well, it's a Monday Night Football game, so naturally, there's more questions to ask. Like, this Monday night, what will happen? Who will watch the game? Will it be the 2 Manning brothers? Will they have entertaining commentary? We don't know.
Oh,
but
they
what
always
we do know is Monday Night Football games typically haven't been the most exciting. This kind of fits in that thread.
Hey!
Who cares? Who cares? The Colts are almost gone anyway. The Niners are just there because they have an easy schedule. The Niners have a decent defense now. At least defense, so I'm going to take the Niners, but I could see the Colts, I guess, winning, but the quarterback's old. He's going to get sacked, probably, a good amount. So,
Quinn.
I don't know.
I'm riding the Phillip Rivers trade. I am going with the Colts to upset it. By vision, I have seen the light. Not just because the light's in my face. Phillip Rivers threw for a whopping a little over 100 yards and a touchdown and a pick, but forget that. The Colts are destined to win this game. They're going to upset the Niners. I may be on crazy pills, but I am going with the Indiana Jones, not anymore, the Phillip Rivers Colts to win this game and have a monster upset. Cues, end of scene.
All right. Is that your Dylan's Dares bet of the week? Colts win. Oh no, I'm guessing it's Mr. 44-year-old throwing for 250 yards.
No. No. I will just go simple here. I would take the over in this game. I don't know what it is. That would be my Dylan's dare. I don't know what it is, but I would take the over just because the Steelers' offense has been overachieving, and the Lions obviously just always have shootouts. And the Steelers' defense without TJ just doesn't look the same usually against good teams. So I'll take the over in the Steelers' Lions. That is my Dylan's dare of the week. But that's going to do it for our episode of the DQ Frenzy. From Dylan Shields and Clinch Beetle. Apologies for last week's audio sounding a little bit weird. Promise this week it sounds a lot better. The holiday season's coming up. We got one more episode coming out. We'll let you know announcement-wise when it's coming out because of the weird dates, obviously, with Christmas being on a weekday. We'll let you guys know, but have a great week. Spend your money. Spend anything you have left to Christmas shop for your family. Say goodbye to your paychecks. And we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.